So you mentioned your general inspiration there. Are there any particular artists, especially at the beginning, that inspired you to start rapping as well?
Yeah, I mean, I started rapping when I was a kid just to fit in at school. But my favourite acts when I was growing up were Slick Rick and really into the early Snoop Dogg stuff because I got a lot of escapism in the lyrics, all the storytelling. You know, it was almost like listening to a film soundtrack, you know, because the stories and everything was so, you know, surreal, but all seemed so real the way they were telling it as well. It's like a whole other world. And that's what originally drew me into hip hop. But then my main influences growing up, you know, like Prince and Michael Jackson, and my mum and dad used to play a lot of Motown and Rolling Stones and Beatles, David Bowie, Kinks. So I draw a lot of influences from them. And then in my teen years, I became a massive fan of Jay-Z, but I also started listening to a lot of Nirvana and Blur. And, you know, whether or not people can hear this in my music now isn't the point. It's more to do with the fact that there's something that I get from those artists, whether it's their lyrics or just their attitude towards life, that I try and maybe draw from, try and apply it to my own experiences to make it unique, you know?
Sounds like you have quite eclectic influences
Yeah, it's
there.
quite broad.
Yeah. So do you think growing up in London contributed to that as well?
Yeah, it's 100%. I think one of the most interesting things about London and the whole of the UK is it's such a melting pot of different genres, and I think also it's just a cosmopolitan place. I think when you've got people from all over the world bringing their flavors, you know, music from their homelands or whatever, and passed down through generations. I mean, if you look at how, you know, people came over from the West Indies after the Second World War and brought a certain type of music with them, and how that influenced a lot of London bands, or, you know, influenced like ska bands, for instance. I think what you're finding now is people are still drawing from, you know, reggae and dancehall music, and but it's embodied in stuff like dubstep, um, and you know, rock and blues can be embodied in drum and bass, for instance. And I think that's just what makes England and London such an interesting place for to make music. I think we're putting out some of the most interesting music at the moment in the world. And I think for the last 10 years, maybe we spent a lot of time, well, not me personally, but a lot of acts tried to copy Americans with their production and the way they rapped or the way they sung. And now a lot of people in America are looking to the UK and getting in touch with all our big producers and our big songwriters and wanting us to go over there, you know, like people, dubstep producers like Benga and Scream and Chase and Status who make drum and bass, of going over to America and working with the biggest pop stars in America. And I think that just goes to show how exciting the music scene is in London at the moment. And we've got also one of the most diverse pop charts, I think, in the world, which is, yeah, it's pretty exciting to be part of all that.
And third studio album
Yeah.
coming up. So what kind of direction are you going to be taking with this album? Different from your others, or?
Yeah, I mean the first album was all like sample based hip hop. It was all like similar BPM. It was all about 90 beats per minute. Quite slow, chilling sort of hip hop music, but a lot of sort of humorous lyrics and storytelling. And I didn't really sing on it. My second album, my current album, a lot more singing, a lot more up tempo, drawing from electronic music, but a few bit of hip hop elements in there as well. But also towards the end of the album, my vocal style goes a bit more indie, a bit more bluesy, and the direction I'm taking with the new album is to go a bit grungier. So it's not going to sound like Nirvana, but in terms of the lyrics, the sentiment of the lyrics, it's going to be a lot more bittersweet and a lot more sort of I don't know, self-reflecting, and you know, just musings on life and love, I suppose, but from a really personal place. Um, like, I mean, I've written a song called "Change the Way You Kiss Me," which, you know, has obvious connotations just in the title, and then another song called "Shot Yourself in the Foot Again," and another song called "Wrong in the Head." So it's a bit darker than the current album, but I think epic and uplifting and, like I say, grungy in its tone. And musically, I want it to sound a lot more trancey. So drawing from a lot of sort of classic 90s dance riffs, but there's going to be different genres on this album. There's going to be like house tempo, dubstep tempo, drum and bass, like a lot of guitars on this album as well. Hope that answers your question.
It did, thank you.
Quite a lot.
No, it's great. Do you draw a lot on your personal life and experiences that you've had when you're making music, or even in other areas like your films, stuff like that?
Yeah, I mean, totally, everything comes from a personal place. Every song on the current album is based on a personal experience, like Two Lives and Kickstarts, Millionaires, Time Machine, all about my current relationship. Won't Go Quietly is about a past relationship. Something in the Water is about an experience I had in a pub once in a lock-in, and Hooligans is about a fan breaking his leg at one of my gigs. So they were all, you know, Watch the Sun Come Up was based on a holiday romance, like from like 4 or 5 years ago. So everything on my album is from a really personal place. I don't ever try and write from the point of view of someone else like some artists do. I just try and talk from only what I know. And I think that gives you a different edge to some other artists.
Definitely. You obviously started off studying film. Is that something you would go back to now that you're focused solely on music at the moment?
I think one of the things that being successful in any, you know, discipline of media or entertainment helps with is that you can move between the different disciplines quite easily if you've got a certain amount of success. I mean, if you're a really successful singer, you might get offered an acting role in a big film the easy way, you know, without having to go to the audition. Likewise, if you're a successful actor, you might be able to move into radio presenting or directing. So I'm hoping that if I meet the right people and my profile grows enough, I can move into acting. And then on top of that, I'd like to go into directing again as well. Because I made about 20 films whilst I was at uni. I mean, only like 5-minute, 10-minute films, but I had a lot of fun making them. So I'd like to go back and do that one day. I look at, you know, one of my mates, Plan B's, like pretty inspirational. You know, he's sold like 1 million albums this year, and this month he's directing and writing his own film as well, where he's got you know, some funding to make this film. And I think probably wouldn't have had the opportunity to do that if he hadn't have met so many great contacts through his successful music career. So yeah, hopefully I can do something like that if I've got the time.
You mentioned Plan B there. Is there anyone else you think is really exciting right now, or that maybe you'd like to collaborate with in the future?
In terms of collaborations, I prefer to work with producers rather than like singers or other rappers. I like to do everything myself. I'm quite a control freak, so I like to sing and rap every vocal on my album. That's what I'm doing for this current album. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Plan B's work. I've just sung a chorus on Professor Green's new single because basically he's a mate and I like the song. And then my favourite albums last year is probably Florence and Machine. Really like Tiny Temper as an artist. Ellie Goulding's album's amazing. And there's some up-and-coming smaller bands like Phoenix Soler and Everything. And I've been listening to their albums a lot as well. So yeah, that's that.
Last question, you've mentioned sort of what you want to do in the future, but what's next for you currently? You're working on your new album. Anything else exciting happening in your life right now?
Well, my UK tour just finished yesterday.
Okay, wow.
And that was like 16 gigs, all sold out. I've now got about 7 or 8 uni balls or uni parties. And then I've got 15 DJ sets in November. I'll be writing and recording more songs in November for this next album. Then I'm on tour with Faithless, first 2 weeks of December, then South Africa, then Australia, then LA, and then another UK tour next February, which is about 20 dates. So it's going to be pretty mental.
Sounds like there's exciting times for you. Thank you very much for your time, and good luck for the performance tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You'll be watching.
We will be.